You know, on an aeroplane, when you're taking off or landing, you feel like you need to pop your ears so you can get your hearing back again. There are people out there that have that even on dry land, even though they're sort of wandering around, they constantly have that feeling that their ears need to be popped. And they keep doing this, and the hearing comes back a little bit and then comes back again within a few seconds. And it's very irritating for people because if you're constantly distracted and annoyed by your ear, with the hearing up and down, it distorts your hearing. A lot of people get tinnitus because of it. And people obviously worry that it could be something serious. And those sorts of things make the tinnitus worse. And it takes an awful long time for this, what we call eustachian tube dysfunction, to go away. I call it eustachian tube dysfunction. Actually, everyone calls it that. But the reason why it's called that is because there is a tube that runs from your nose to your ear. That's the tube that you're blowing and getting air to go into your ear. So what happens is that tube becomes inflamed or blocked, full of mucus, something like that, stops it from working very well. So every time you pop your ears, although it opens your ear a little bit, it gets blocked again and doesn't work very well because you see the eustachian tube opens up very easily every time we opens up a few times every minute because we swallow saliva quite often, and that in itself can open up a normal person's ears. But these people, it doesn't open up quite so easily. So they physically have to force it like this by popping their ears. Now, the reason why most people have eustachian tube dysfunction is typically because they've flown with an ear infection. So they've had a cold or a flu. They went on a flight because it's their holiday. There's no way they're going to miss their holiday or the business meeting, something like that. And when they go up and they go down, it causes so much inflammation and damage to their ear that they have this problem, eustachian tube dysfunction, and it feels awful. They're back home or they're trying to enjoy their holiday and they feel like, oh God, this feels terrible. They pop their ears and they're trying to clear their ears, but it's still not really solving the problem. The first thing to say is that the vast majority of people will get better within 3 months. So try and keep popping your ears as often as possible. I often tell people to go and purchase an Otovent balloon. Basically, it's a balloon that you blow up with your nose. It looks ridiculous. Kids love it. And the idea is you blow up this balloon like this, and then you let it deflate and it pops your ears for you. I think it costs about £7, £8. Probably inflation and COVID has increased that price. But you can get it from Amazon Prime. It comes to you within the next day. And it's quite useful to pop your ears. If you've got loads of cash, you can get something called the ear popper. You put it in your nose. It's a little mechanical pump. You press the button and a blast of air goes in and pops your ears for you. I should really get on to how I would fix it. Now, there are basically two different treatments for eustachian tube dysfunction. The first is you just make a hole in the eardrum. So you've got that membrane there, and the pressure is suctioning everything here. There's a vacuum. What you're doing is making a hole through here, and then all the vacuum here sucks the air, and the eardrum pops back into the right place, and it feels much better. The trouble is that little hole will heal up very, very quickly. So you push a tube through it, and when you push that tube through, it keeps that hole open for about 9 months to a year and a half or so. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes. It's very easy to do. The risks are very, very low. And I've got videos that have explained that in more detail. But that is one thing that can help people with eustachian tube dysfunction, even if there is no glue or anything behind that. And remember, you don't have to have an abnormal hearing test or abnormal tympanogram. It shows the pressure changes. If you have symptoms of eustachian tube dysfunction, typically we can treat it. The next thing you can do is that you go to, well, actually, that makes sense to make a hole in the eardrum, put a grommet in there for children, because we're waiting for them to grow so the tube gets bigger, and then the grommet comes out by itself later, and therefore it should just get better with time. It doesn't always get better with time in adults because there's some gunk or some mucus or some problem, stenosis of the eustachian tube. It's not getting better. So we can't rely on the adult growing any bigger because at a certain age we don't grow any bigger. So there's another option that's been developed where we go actually into the nose. You go into the nose, you put a guide wire through the eustachian tube. So you put a tube, like a little metal rod into the eustachian tube. Once you're in the right place, you put a balloon in there and you inflate the balloon and you sort of give it a sort of Dynarod type clean. You clean out that eustachian tube. When you pull it out, all this pus and mucus comes out. And suddenly, as you pull it all out, the patient goes, oh my God, I can hear so much better now. And because you've cleared out that tube, it starts working more normally again. Officially, That works in about 75% of people. And I think the main reason for that is that we sometimes get the diagnosis wrong. It's quite hard to sort of feel where the problem is. Sometimes a fullness in the ear and not hearing properly could be because of a number of other things. So the way I differentiate between eustachian tube dysfunction and some of the hundreds of other things that could cause the same symptoms is to try and see what would happen if I did a test on the ear. So what I do is I make a hole in the eardrum. I'm talking about half a millimeter or so, and then I don't do anything else. I don't put a grommet in or anything. You can do it without any anesthetic. You put people on a chair and just say, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch your ear with a very blunt object. And they go, why would you do that? The reason being is that it's a very odd sensation touching someone's eardrum. It's like when you put a cotton bud in too deep. And it's a scary thing. I don't want you to suddenly move and get scared or have a sudden jerk of pain because you could damage the ear. So what you do is you touch it with something blunt very gently until they get used to that feeling. Then you touch it with something slightly sharper so they get used to that sharp sensation in the same area. And eventually, the vast majority of people will go, actually, it feels all right. I don't like it, but it feels all right. Then you just make a tiny little hole and you come out again. Most people, if you give them enough warning, if you help them through it, you can make a tiny little hole. Now you'd ask, well, why on earth am I making a hole for no reason? The reason being is that you're making a hole to let the air escape. Well, get in, should I say? It depends on the situation. But you want the air to be equal on both sides of the eardrum. And if suddenly they go, oh, all the crackling has gone, the feeling of fullness has gone, the hearing has improved, sometimes even the tinnitus gets better very quickly if you have this problem. And but the thing is, that little hole, what we call a myringotomy, that little hole heals up in 3, 4 days typically because you're doing a tiny little hole. Remember, you could remove half of the tympanic membrane; it heals within 3 months, but you're making a tiny little hole, and and then it heals up, and all the symptoms start coming back again. The reason to do this is to pick out those people who truly have eustachian tube dysfunction, because an awful lot of the time the hearing test is normal, the tympanogram is normal. All these tests don't show anything because they're not very sensitive to pick up eustachian tube dysfunction. But if you can make a tiny little hole in the eardrum, even without anesthetic, and you say, look, you're not going to feel anything today, but tomorrow morning, if you suddenly feel much, much better and you feel like everything is improved, see how you feel over the next 3 or 4 days until it heals up. If you keep blowing your nose, you'll get air whistling out, like in the cartoons. Air sort of whistles out because it's coming right through that little hole. When it stops doing that, it starts going pop or crackle again, then you know that the eardrum is healed over. And then I go up to these people after and say, look, during those 3 or 4 days when there was a hole in your ear, did you feel any better? Did it feel good? And they may say, yeah, it did feel better, but it's not good enough. And it didn't really solve all my problems, which is really important because then I'll say to them, it's not really worth doing an operation. There are risks to all of these operations. So don't do an operation through the eustachian tube or a grommet or something because it may not be beneficial for you. And some people might go, oh my God, those were the 4 best days I've had in years. And please, 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 can you do it again? And you say, well, we can put a grommet in. It'll mean that you have at least a year, maybe a year and a half's worth of relief. You can get permanent grommets, which have their own, side effect profile and pros and cons to it. Or we could do the eustachian tube balloon dilation, where you put the guide wire up your nose into your ear and dilate the balloon and clear out that eustachian tube. And when you do that, officially, although typically we say 70%, I've noticed by making a hole in the ear and finding those people who find a great benefit, the success rate of that goes up past 90%. So we're picking out those people who would truly benefit from it rather than relying on a hearing test or tympanogram and stuff, which is not very sensitive for picking up these people. You can look at the ETD Q7, eustachian tube dysfunction question 7. It's a questionnaire. And I think if you score over 21 or something, you're much more likely to have eustachian tube dysfunction. Although I don't think it's very specific, seems to be quite sensitive. And that may give you a little bit of reassurance that actually, yes, I probably have eustachian tube dysfunction. Anyway, it's available on the NHS. You can get it done, see your GP, and hopefully it'll help you. But as I said from the start, popping your ears, waiting three months, typically it all goes away. And that horrible tinnitus that you may have got often goes away as well with it as well. There are other videos about how to help you with tinnitus and things, but hopefully that will give you a little bit of information on how to deal with this annoying crackling, popping, sort of underwater sensation in your ears. Take care. Bye-bye.